What did you eat for breakfast this morning? For dinner last night? You might have mealtime routines that are the same, or almost the same, each day. But did you ever stop and think about the connection you have to food? In the past, people often grew their own crops and raised their own animals. Once the food was harvested, they worked together to get the food to the table. This collaboration helped people to connect with one another and with the food they prepared. Chef and conservationist Barton Seaver realized at a young age that food is part of the human experience. As a child, Barton lived in a diverse community. Immigrants who lived there brought foods from their cultures with them. Barton's parents cooked with these foods, and Barton was grateful to be able to explore the world right from his kitchen. He learned that food is a reflection of culture. It's part of who we are. Today, this connection between food and people is breaking down. Globalization allows food to be shipped anywhere in the world. Since you can buy according to your tastes, there's no need to wait until foods become available. And you don't have to spend hours preparing meals as a family. Foods have been prepared and packaged to be more convenient. Although they make life easier, these foods are not as wholesome as fresh, local foods. Packaging and transporting foods also impacts the environment. Barton studies the effects of our food choices on the environment, especially the oceans. He understands that we have preferences about seafood and that fishermen try to get us what we want. But commercial fishing has upset the ocean's ecosystem, and Barton is working to help people change their attitudes about food so that they make better choices. So, the next time you sit down to a nice entree of fish and vegetables, think about what you're eating. Are the vegetables from a nearby farm or from across the world? Is the fish on your plate an overfished species? Enjoy your dinner, but don't ignore where it comes from. Remember, your choices count.
Over time, the way food gets to our plate has evolved, and so have our attitudes about what we eat. In the past, people worked very hard to grow and prepare meals, but they were grateful for the food that they had. Now, much of what we eat is produced on an industrial level. Large farms grow only one type of crop. Some of these farms ship this crop all over the world. Others sell their crops to even larger companies who use them to create packaged foods. When we buy and prepare these foods, we don't feel the strong connection with our dinner entree like our ancestors did. We may not be growing our own food, but we shouldn't ignore where our food comes from and what impact it has on people and the environment.
Barton Seaver is a food revolutionary. He wants to change how we look at food. When Barton was a child, he learned a lot about food from his parents. They made sure that he tried a variety of foods from many different cultures. If Barton hadn't grown up in a family where food was so important, food might not matter to him as much. Thanks to his childhood, Barton understands the connection between food and culture. In his opinion, if food hadn't been so industrialized, we would still be more closely connected to what we eat. And if we had stayed more connected to our food, we would appreciate it more. Barton wants us to connect with our food, to share it with friends and family, and to make it a part of who we are.
You have already learned that Barton Seaver is a food revolutionary. He wants to change the way we eat, especially seafood. According to Barton, if we hadn't overfished popular fishes like tuna and cod, the ocean's ecosystem wouldn't be out of balance. Barton understands that fish is in demand because it's a healthy source of protein. He just wants people to try fish that are lower on the food chain. This would help restore the population of overfished species. Barton is trying to make changes today, but there were other food revolutionaries long before him. Christopher Columbus is known around the world as an explorer, but Columbus is also one of the first food revolutionaries. If he hadn't traveled west in search of spices from India, he would have never arrived in the Americas. And if he and other explorers hadn't arrived in the Americas, foods such as tomatoes, potatoes, corn, and cacao would not have been brought back to Europe. Without Columbus's exploration, the modern diet of many cultures would be much different. Another food revolutionary is French chef Auguste Escoffier. Escoffier wanted to make the process of cooking more standard. He wrote down ingredients and necessary steps for each of his dishes. If Escoffier hadn't done this, we might not have recipes or cookbooks.
Grow it here. Eat it here. With 80% of the world's population living in cities by the year 2050, we need to consider indoor farming. What do you think of when you hear the word farm? You probably think of a large, open land with lots of different crops growing and animals grazing, right? Well, urban agriculturalist Caleb Harper is working to change how we think about farms. Over the past few years, Caleb has been researching different forms of vertical farming. He has been working to bring farms into the city. His main focus is on two types of vertical farming, aeroponics and hydroponics. With aeroponics, a nutrient-filled mist is sprayed on a plant's roots to help them grow without soil. With hydroponics, a plant is grown in nutrient-rich water. Caleb uses simple computer technologies to monitor his crops. This technology allows him to control climate and provide consistent light, food, temperature, and water. The result is better plant growth and flavor. This consistency also allows his crops to produce food 4 to 5 times faster than those of a traditional outdoor farmer. Caleb's work is important. Right now, we are facing a global food crisis. The world's population is at 7 billion. In 30 years, it will be nearly 9 billion. We will need to produce 70% more food to feed these additional people, but there isn't enough farmland. Even if there were, traditional farming can be harmful to land. Overused soil loses nutrients. Farmers use chemicals to treat their crops. These chemicals get into the ground and run off into bodies of water. The polluted water supply threatens the ecosystem and the health of those living nearby. Vertical farming systems can help solve these problems. First, farms in urban areas will allow people to harvest fresh produce year-round. There is no need to worry about threats such as droughts or insects, which could ruin a crop. And indoor farms are sustainable. They use less water than a traditional farm, and with aeroponics, 97% of fresh water is reused. Vertical farms use less energy because they don't depend on large farming equipment and long transportation systems to carry the food from farm to city. And all of the crops in an indoor farm are grown without pesticides, so they are fresh, healthy, and organic. So the next time you hear the word farm, don't just think of that large open land with crops and animals. Think inside the city. It's the future of farming.